Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. This episode is being produced for Forbes, where I'm a contributor covering social entrepreneurship and impact investing. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe. Our guests today are Vanessa Kirsch, the CEO and founder of New Profit, Inc., a nonprofit venture philanthropy firm, and also Dana O'Donovan, who is the Chief Operating Officer at Deloitte's Monitor Institute. Dana and Vanessa, welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Devin.
Well, it's our privilege entirely. I was teasing you a little bit before, if that's the right word, for having such impressive resumes. You really are an intimidating pair, and I appreciate you making time for this exercise. You've spent a lot of time doing a lot of good, and it's exciting to have an opportunity to talk to you about your work, and especially about this collaboration between Deloitte's Monitor Institute and New Profit. So, Dana, do you want to take a minute and just kind of describe that collaboration for a minute?
Sure, I'm happy to. Well, it goes back 15 years to when New Profit first was getting started. Vanessa came to Monitor Group at the time, a boutique strategy consulting firm, with this idea of making resources available to social entrepreneurs that typically are only available to their Fortune 500 peers. So a combination of capital in terms of financial resources and also intellectual capital in terms of consulting resources to help these social entrepreneurs grow and expand their models for creating change.
So is this particular activity something that is only done in the collaboration, or are you both working on, or either of you working on this independent of the collaboration?
I think we're both working independently, and then we find ways that our independent work merges together to have much higher impact. So at New Profit, we're looking for the greatest social innovators and helping them scale, and we have a set of investors who are looking for a social return on their investment. And we, with this partnership with Monitor Deloitte, we are able to have much greater impact and deliver more clear results, stronger strategies, and organizations that are really built to last.
Vanessa, let me ask a follow-up question of you, if I can. Are the entrepreneurs you're seeking to help or are helping every day, are those entrepreneurs for-profit entrepreneurs or non-profit entrepreneurs, or a mix?
Well, they are a mix. They're predominantly non-profit social entrepreneurs that are looking at a social problem and coming up with a new and different entrepreneurial insight that will change the market in the social sector. There are times when those social systems are best affected by a for-profit or hybrid sort of organization, and so we're open to the actual legal structure so long as the purpose is social mobility and helping people the opportunities in America.
Sure, sure. And I want to follow up with you, Dana, on the Monitor Institute. Is the Monitor Institute broadly fully devoted now to social impact, or is this just a sliver of what's going on at the Monitor Institute within the greater Deloitte umbrella?
So the Monitor Institute is the social impact practice in the U.S. as part of the broader Deloitte platform. And actually, we're now have come together with our colleagues that do social impact work across sectors, and we now have what we call a social impact service line that is the commercial evolution of Deloitte's long-standing commitment to social impact. So the Monitor Institute is focused primarily on U.S. nonprofits and foundations, very large organizations like New Profit and some of their portfolio organizations. And then we also work with other actors in the public sector and the private sector who are also looking to create social impact. And This is very consistent with Deloitte's long-standing commitment to corporate social responsibility, and is the natural evolution of the work that we've done around corporate volunteerism, skills-based volunteering, and pro bono commitments over time.
Well, that is kind of the collaboration that you're talking about, of bringing in that Fortune 500 wisdom and expertise to help social entrepreneurs. I wonder, Vanessa or Dana, can you help us with an example or two of projects, entrepreneurs, companies, some way to get our hands around this with an example?
Maybe what I could do is I could start with a description of a social entrepreneur we were working with that had a challenge, and then Dana can talk about what Monitor Deloitte did to work on that challenge.
Wow.
And so I'd take the Mission Continues, which is an organization that is working with all the returning veterans and figuring out how to have them have a purpose and a role in society when they come back from war. And the Mission Continues was the demand obviously just skyrocketed for how we work with returning veterans, and they were looking to figure out how to scale their organization very rapidly. And in the nonprofit sector, sometimes it's hard to get the analysis and do the strategy work that's really necessary, and so you often rely on volunteers that are, not as committed to the long haul strategy. And so we were able, New Profit made a $1 million investment in the Mission Continues, and we take a board seat, and the great joint venture between New Profit and Monitor Deloitte is that then Monitor Deloitte was able to work on developing the strategy for how they could scale. And so maybe Dana could talk specifically about what the teams from Monitor Deloitte did.
Sure. And in this instance, Devin, the Mission Continues had done a pilot moving from an individual fellowship model to more of a platoon-based model that better approximated the kinds of communities that the returning vets were used to working in when they were deployed. And they had piloted that model, and they thought that it had real promise, but they didn't have the analysis and the plan behind it for growth. And so our team came in, and working very closely with the executive team at the Mission Continues, we designed a growth plan, a fundraising model, and a human capital model for them that allowed them to see the path to, by 2016, have over 4,000 veterans in 50 cities across the country, doing more than 650,000 volunteer hours in these platoons. And they were able to think about a rollout that was much faster and much more impactful than they were expecting at the outset.
And I think one of the things that's important about this is we think a lot about nonprofits needing financial capital and support to scale, but it's truly a twin engine. If you have the money but you don't have the strategy and the business acumen and the plans, you're not going anywhere. And often we invest heavily financially, and philanthropists put their money in, but they don't tie it to the strategies. And so really, when I started New Profit as a venture philanthropy fund, the whole idea is to link financial capital with strategic capital to get a 10x return on your dollar.
And in venture philanthropy, that return is coming not through financial returns, but impact, right?
Right. That is social impact returns. But knowing for the philanthropist, it's really, are you somebody who's just going to fund the organization on an annual basis, or are you really going to invest in the capacity of that organization to have a much greater social impact that you can attribute your dollars to? And so increasingly we're talking about philanthropists who are not only buy philanthropists where they buy outcomes, but they're actually build philanthropists who are trying to build social impact.
Now, Dana, I want to follow up with you on the model here to understand exactly what you're doing, because it's so important, so valuable. Are you taking people who are generally working on for-profit projects and billing out at the modest rates that Deloitte senior people bill Fortune 500 companies at, and then putting them on pro bono, or are these dedicated people who are working on nonprofits and billing at a nonprofit rate to help the new profit folks.
So part of the beauty of this model, to my mind, is that as one of the leaders of our social impact practice, I actually get to have my dedicated senior practitioners work directly with Vanessa's team and with the social entrepreneurs. So I get a chance for my teams to really build their skills and develop with world-class social entrepreneurs that are wrestling with critical social impact issues. And that's important for the Maunder Institute and the work we do. And then what's also great for Deloitte as a firm, and I think this is part of why we're so committed to this cross-sector collaboration, is our new profit teams are staffed with more junior analysts and consultants from our general management pool of staff members. And so these are people who typically are deployed on projects for full freight clients who get the opportunity to use their skills differently. And we're finding that that is something that is incredibly important to our junior talent, and is something that the kind of opportunity that really differentiates us when it gets right down to making the decision of who you want to go work for and where you want to build a career. That commitment makes a big difference.
Oh, sure. Sure. Well, I want to ask each of you in turn, and maybe Vanessa, you would start, but I want you to explain why this is so important to you, and I mean the why in a broad but personal sense. Clearly, you're both extremely talented individuals. You could be doing anything, anywhere. Why do you care enough to be doing what you're doing?
Well, I think for me, my justice nerve was turned on at a young age, but one significant thing was that I took a year and I traveled around the world interviewing social entrepreneurs around the world. And I really came to believe that we have an innovative solution to almost every social problem, but none of these solutions are at scale. And it's really a moral obligation that I feel to help those great solutions that are saving people's lives and changing people's lives really get to be successful, scaled organizations that meet many more lives and are able to really have the transformative impact that we believe is necessary in this country.
Oh, that's great. And Dana, what about you?
For me, I think that it's similar, and it came from, as a child, I was adopted when I was very young, and so for me, that one accident of birth made the difference between me being able to do this work or being one of the recipients of this work. And I fundamentally think that that's unfair, that there's so many children who do not have the same wide sets of opportunities that other children have in this country. And I want to make sure that we can continue to narrow that gap over time.
Wow. Well, that is an inspiring insight, and I appreciate you sharing that. I want to ask each of you to do me another favor, and I appreciate your patience in indulging me with these questions, but I wonder if you would tell us a little bit about, based on your, both of you have been just tremendously successful, very well recognized for accomplishing great things, but both of you have focused on creating impact as a key part of your career, and our audience is really focused on driving impact. And I wonder if you would just each take 1 minute and give us one good tip for increasing our impact.
Well, I mean, I think one is it comes down to data, and you really have to constantly be passionate about collecting data and be comfortable with fast failure and using data to make rapid decisions.
Good tip.
I can't disagree with the data part as a consultant. And I would say two things. On a personal level, I think continuing to learn and build your skills and never being comfortable that you have figured it out and that you have the answers. And then secondly, listening. Really listening to who you're trying to help and not falling in love with our own approaches, but continue to question, is this the highest impact thing I can do? Are there other ways that I can approach this? And that intellectual restlessness, I think, always leads to new answers.
Oh, that's a great insight. I really appreciate you sharing those insights. Now, each of you have different roles and responsibilities and objectives, but I wonder if you would each just take a minute and describe the collaboration opportunities you're most interested in hearing about, seeing, or the people you're most interested in connecting with, and then tell people how to connect with those people. Maybe, Dana, we could start with you this time.
Sure. Well, at Maunder Institute, we are really interested in changing how change happens. And so for folks who are really wrestling with tough problems, either in organizations or in networks, that's what we really seek to do. We want to work with individuals and organizations and institutions that are wrestling with the big, tough, thorny problems. And if you want to get in touch with us to learn more about the Maunder Institute, we're at maunderinstitute.com. And then if you want to hear more of how we're thinking about things, you can follow me on Twitter, which is at Dana O'Donovan. And we often talk quite a bit about the things that we're working on or the things that we're finding interesting.
Awesome.
Great. And Vanessa?
Well, one, we are always looking for the fearless leaders, the heroic leaders, the people who are the future social entrepreneurs. So we do national searches and pick up every stone to try to find the next generation of great leaders. So that is one. And then two, we're looking for a special kind of person who would want to work at New Profit, who is really able to walk in all sectors, and who really is comfortable bridging the nonprofit, the for-profit, the government sector, those kind of hybrid people that that really can see problems from all sides. Because I really believe at this point in our history, we're not going to be solving problems in any one sector, but it's really the people who can bring all sectors together that are going to lead this country to greater and better places. And so you can find us at newprofit.com, and info.com will be a place, info@newprofit.com is how you can reach us.
Great. Well, I want to thank both of you for taking the time to do this today. I know you and your teams spent a lot of time preparing, as well as the time you took to be on the show, and I really appreciate that time and want to wish you every success in the great work that you're doing.
Well, and thank you for your great work as well,
Yes.
getting the word out. That's important.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
We appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Thank you. Now let's do some good.